Hello, I'm Elena O'Donnell. I'm the Resilience and Results Specialist.
Good morning. My name's Richard Knight. I'm a business troubleshooter, so I help solve business problems.
So, Richard, what are your kind of thoughts on resilience in business?
I think people have to understand how to recover quickly from difficult situations. The thing is, Milena, is difficult situations or things that grind our business to a halt will always come along. That's the only certainty. The only thing we don't know is when, and we have to prepare. Now, some things we can't prepare for this current situation that we're already in, but we can make sure that we're fully prepared for when it happens again. And the only certainty, as I say, is it will happen again. Well, having gone through the last recession back in 2008, 2009, I think prior to that, everybody seemed to know what was around the corner, Milena, and they just trucked along, happily because they knew what was coming. And then we got just hit by a train. And then I think from that time, because that took a lot of businesses 4 or 5 years to come out the other side of that, is now from that time to where we are now, nobody knows what's around the corner. So the only certainty, as I call them, the what ifs in life, the what ifs will always come around. So what if this happens? What if that happens? And I think in this particular coronavirus situation, we have all had a lot more time to prepare and plan and strategize and work on our business, generally speaking, than we've ever had before. So we need working on our business is as important as working in the business, because that's what will allow us to actually make sure we plan properly, so that when something like this happens again, or a recession, we're properly prepared to be able to go through it and come out the other side without too many ruffling feathers.
So that kind of brings me onto the subject of taking responsibility for what you do, right? Using this time to actually take action that is a positive action, rather than kind of, oh, panic, I'm reacting to the circumstances. There is now time to maybe do things differently. But it's very easy, and I find this with some of my clients, to blame circumstances on what is happening to us. Right? We don't really take responsibility for what goes on in our lives. So, oh, this happened, a coronavirus happened, a crisis happened, and it has got nothing to do with me. Circumstances, we maybe outside of our control. Things happen like the coronavirus, right? That is not our responsibility. We can't be responsible for that. However, we can be responsible for our actions and our attitude and what we do. And that is very important, both in business and in personal life. Would you agree, Richard?
Yeah, I think taking personal responsibility is something we all have to be aware of. I think it's always very easy when times get hard to blame somebody else or something else for why we're not where we want to be. Generally speaking, it's because we didn't prepare properly. If we're in business, that we are where we are, and we are. Somebody said to me, we are in life exactly where we choose to be. And that will apply any moment in time, because we've made that decision. We're in total control of ourselves. We cannot let external circumstances control who we are inside our head. That is something we have total control over. The challenge being, though, Milena, I think is if you've not had the right upbringing, and you've not had some sort of personal development program that's been going on through your life, and you're not associating with successful and success-minded people, it is very easy to get dragged down. I think the more you spend time with those sort of people, and somebody that's going to uplift you all the time, and edify you, I think that the chance of you actually getting through this in a far better state of mind are that much greater than they would be if you weren't connected with those sort of people or that sort of personal development program.
That if you are finding yourself sucked into the negativity, either coming from your own perception of what goes on or coming from the people around you, you need to try to find a different way of looking at things. And there is help available. There's, the people like Richard you can talk to, who will be able to show you a more positive way of looking at things. And that there are people like myself, a life coach or somebody else who might be able to help you see things differently, change the negativity into something that is more positive, a different outlook on life. And another thing that I think is really important, and we talked about it before, Richard, is about taking action. I have seen people who are in a lockdown who are so overwhelmed by what is going on that they just give in. And I had someone last week who said, well, nobody is asking me for business, so that's no point. Until the lockdown is over, I'm just going to sit back and wait for things to change. That's not going to help your business to survive.
I think if you have that attitude, you're just going to sit and wait for it to blow over before you actually get back to doing what you or did before. I think is a very dangerous position to be in, because it doesn't. If we were in this till the end of May, we've been in it for effectively 10 weeks. It doesn't just set you back 10 weeks, it potentially sets you back 2, 3, 4 years or even more, because everyone else has been proactive. And if they're in competitive businesses to yourself, they've been proactive and actually moving forward. And one of the things that we can all be could take control of ourselves through this process is to make sure we're out there still sowing the seeds. It's like when you don't sow a seed and then reap a harvest the day after. You sow a seed this year and you reap the harvest next year. And that's what people should be doing, is constantly going out there and sowing seeds. I think the problem is, though, Marlena, is as business owners, we're generally too close to the action for our own business that we don't see the wood for the trees. And I think this is where we need to seek help and support from people that can help us through it. And the amazing thing through this whole process is the amount of people out there that are willing to offer help and support to small businesses, because we have to try and help each other through this whole process. Sometimes we can't do it on our own. We need to be around people that are going to uplift us and help us to keep moving in a forward direction.
I think what you said about being around other people and seeking help and support, that's really crucial, because it's very easy in the time like this to feel this is just my own problem. I'm on my own with this. Whereas, in fact, if you look around you and then you look, at the people for support, or you look for guidance, you kind of, keep up with networking with people, connecting with people, you will find that a lot of people are in a similar situation, actually, and might be able to help you find that solution, doing something differently that you might not have thought about yourself. So what you said, Richard, about keeping in touch and seeking help, it's vital. It really is. You have to adapt to the changes rather than think, okay, I'll just wait till this all blows over, because there may not be ever the place that we were in before the coronavirus.
No.
We will not go back to how things were ever. And we were talking about it before, Richard. We were talking about how some businesses are now adapting to providing services in a different way, such as pubs doing takeaway meals, and restaurants are kind of adapting the menus and doing takeaway services. All these kind of things that are happening in a different way, and online meetings, online workshops, Zoom networking, all these kind of things that are done differently now. And I think one of the things that is going to change is the way people work in the future anyway, but we need to embrace those changes, make the positive things that are happening now work in the future, even when we kind of go back to some kind of a normality that is going to kind of happen after the vaccine for the coronavirus is found. So
I think change, Marlena, is something as a human race, we don't like change. We like things to stay as they are. Some people are better at accepting change and adapting, And I am constantly amazed at the amount of businesses out there that weren't in the visible eye line for us all, and then now are, and they're doing things they weren't doing before. And as you say, were restaurants that were just a restaurant and now offering a takeaway or a home delivery service. And we have to adapt as small business owners. We have to adapt, and we have to be more flexible to change maybe than some of the larger companies. There's 4.5 million small businesses out there in the UK. And, you know, there's a lot that won't go through this process because they wouldn't adapt and they wouldn't change, and they just wanted to carry on doing things the way they were before. Doesn't matter what your age is. It's something we all have to adapt and actually take on board. But again, sometimes we can't do it on our own. We need people to help us see what we can't see, so we can actually help to move forward and basically become a better person and a better business than we were before we came into this.
See, what you said about change, nobody likes change.
No.
It's a very difficult process for people to adapt, especially when change is so massive, affects your whole life, not just one aspect of your life, which is what usually happens, but it affects, right now the change is affecting our business and personal life. And that can be very hard to adjust to. But what I think we find difficult is the coping with the unknown, what the implications are going to be on us, because we are frightened that somehow we will not be able to manage, and that can freeze us. That can take us into this, like, I can't do anything about this, so I'm not doing anything about this, right? I'm not seeking help. I'm not looking into how I can do things differently. The advice I can give you is that we have coped with loads of things in our lives. We are dealing with challenges all the time, and we can cope. So whatever changes that are going to happen in our life, we'll always be able to deal with them, unless we think that we can't, in which case we will not try, and we'll freeze and we will fall behind. As Richard was saying, this is not only about the lockdown, it's about other companies who are moving things forward now, who are making the most of what's going on, are kind of moving on. And if we're staying still, we are moving back further and further away.
Well, I mean, limits exist only in our minds, you know, and it's like we never know how far we can actually go. The problem is we can't do it on our own. Everything we face, Marlena, is a challenge, and everybody goes through their own challenges in life. Some handle them a lot better than others, but it's like we have to utilize the people that we know. And if any of the businesses out there are going networking, they've got access to a phenomenal database of people that can actually help them. And we should never look that we're in this on our own and we've got to solve our own problems. The problem with, I think, with most small business owners is they think they have to be all things to all people. Well, we can't be. We have to get help and support from those that are more experienced than we are to handle certain situations. So I think that the strength, you know, with people like you and I, and other people that we know through networking, and say to anybody out there, if you don't go networking, you should, especially if you're a small business, because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know who you don't know. And there's a phenomenal amount of help and support out there for the small business community. Final
bit of advice is taking action. Even when you think it's not going to get you anywhere, it will. It's going to get you further towards what you want to do than sitting back and doing nothing. Things will change. Things always change. We can't necessarily influence the outcome of the coronavirus, how things will pan out. There may be another pandemic in the future, right? We have no control over that. However, we can take responsibility for our own actions and adapt to the circumstances. We can always manage. When we believe that we can, then we will, and we'll always find a way. And there is loads of support and information and advice out there. So please reach out. Thank you.